Looks like we have people joining us. We might just wait a couple minutes. I think the main stage. So for those of you who don't know me, my name's Caitlin Tillett. I'm the Digital Marketing Manager for Wildlife Conservation Network. And this is our last session of the day. Our last session, we'll have a main stage talk after this. But for many of you, it might be the first session you're participating in today. So I'll go over a few logistics on how you can participate in today's session. So today I'm here with Rosamira Guillen from Proyecto Tití. And this is your chance to really ask questions to Rosamira and get to know more about the work that they're doing in Colombia to protect cotton-top tamarins. You can participate in a couple of different ways. So you can participate directly on screen with us by clicking the request permission button in the top right of your video panel. When you do this, you'll be submitted into a queue, and you can come on screen with Rosamira and I, and you can actually ask a question live to Rosamira. If you don't want to be on camera, that's okay. You can also type in your question into the chat box on the right, and we'll be going through those questions, and I will ask Rosamira your question for you. It's very likely we're not going to be able to get to all of our questions today. So don't worry if we don't answer your question. We will download the chat box and we'll respond to all of the questions via email over the next week or so. One other tip, if you want to make somebody's picture bigger, go ahead and double click on their screen, and that will make their picture bigger. Awesome, it looks like we have a lot of people joining us. So I'll go ahead and I'll give an introduction of Rosamira, and after that, we'll begin taking some questions. So I'm really excited to have the opportunity to introduce Rosamira to you all. She is a Colombian landscape architect and environmental designer turned conservationist. Is now the executive director of WCN Proyecto Tití, an organization dedicated to the protection and conservation of cotton-top tamarins, or as they like to call them, the cutest little monkeys in the world. Rosamira entered into conservation.
They are.
They are. Rosamira entered into conservation in an unlikely way. After having been hired as an architect to remodel the Barranquilla Zoo in Colombia, she discovered the cotton-top tamarin, one of Colombia's most endangered native primate species. It was during this time at the zoo that she learned about wildlife issues and the threats facing the species. In 2001, she was named director of the zoo, and in 2004, she co-founded Proyecto Tití. The Proyecto Tití team has made remarkable conservation achievements under Rosamira's leadership, including the shutdown of a planned airport construction with critical cotton-top habitat, developing a national environmental education curriculum, the designation of forest protected areas, and the reforesting critical corridors to restore the dry forest tops. So with all that being said, you can tell that Rosamira is just a phenomenal woman in conservation, doing so much to protect this species. And I'm going to pass it over to Rosamira now to give a quick little update on Proyecto Tití, how they're doing. And I just wanted to say that there is a little bit of a lag right now with our connection. So if she's pausing before answering, that's why. So Rosamira, I'd like to pass it off to you.
Thank you, Caitlin. Thank you for the wonderful introduction, and thank you all who are joining this session. It's a pleasure to have you. We're all experiencing this new way of meeting and interacting and giving updates, and it's been amazing. We have to say that WCN is doing a great job putting this together in such a short time. But I'm very happy to be here and proud to be a WCN partner. And I wanted to just give you a little overview of our work for learning for the first time about Proyecto Tití. We work in Colombia to protect this very little cute monkey with crazy hair. And they are about this size, actually, in the wild. And two things that are very important about cotton tops is that they're only found in a very, very little restricted area of northern Colombia. And they are critically endangered. That means they're one step away from being extinct in the wild. And that is the motivation of all we do. We work to protect cotton tops, to reduce their main threats, which are deforestation for cattle ranching, agriculture, mining, urban expansion. The other threat is capturing for the pet trade by communities. And all of this is to generate an income. So our work at Proyecto Tití wants to reduce these threats by tackling all of it from different directions. And that's, we have become an integrated conservation project because we do science, studying the animals every day in the forest. We do forest conservation by planting trees and protecting areas, public and private. But we also work with people in the local communities, getting, you know, young students excited about conservation, also working with the adults in the communities to generate income alternatives so they don't have to rely on using forest resources for subsistence, because it's an economic issue. So our work is focused on many different directions, and like Katie was sharing, we have been able to accomplish a few things on each of these areas, educating close to 2,000 kids every year, benefiting more than 200 families that work on the different projects, that including these beautiful plush toys that are made by artisans in the rural communities, and the beautiful eco mochilas made with recycled plastic. And then we have been able to protect, what about more than 13,000 acres of forest over the last 5 years, working with the authorities, working with the people, and purchasing land ourselves to protect this wonderful resource. Because we're protecting forests, we're not only protecting the forest for cotton tops, but for many other species that share a home in this beautiful tropical dry forest of Northern Colombia. Of course, with the COVID, as everybody everywhere else in the world, it's been like a full stop of the speed in which we were moving ahead in our programs this year. But the ones that have been affected the most have been our education programs in the local schools and the community work. So we're focusing a lot of our efforts at the moment to come up with new ways to continue educating students in the local schools about cotton tops and not lose the sequence of our program. And for that, we have to get very creative now, and just trying to find some humanitarian sources of support for the artisans and the farmers, which have had to stop working because, you know, all the commercial world is stopped. Fortunately, we have been able to continue caring for the little sapling trees that we're planning to plant this year. And also, we had to stop seeing the monkeys for about 3 weeks, but we got authorization already to go back, and thankfully they're doing okay. And we're expecting to see babies pretty soon, so we're excited about that. And it seems like the word for these days is adapting, reinventing yourself, and using a lot of creativity to keep going and to find ways to continue funding our projects, and all of the efforts of so many years keep moving forward. So that is a very quick update. I would be happy to answer any questions or expand on any of these topics as you wish. If you have, more than happy to answer.
Thank you, Rosamira. Your positivity and outlook is such an inspiration. I'm sure other people will find comfort in that as well. So we're going to start taking questions now from you all. So type them in the chat box on the right, and then I'm going to try right now to bring a couple people up on screen with us. So Aaron and Pauline, let's see if I can get you guys up here. We'll try Carolina as well. Let's see. We've been having some issues. Oh, it looks like we've got Aaron.
There we go.
Hi, Aaron.
Hi, Aaron.
Hi, Pauline. Why don't we
see you, Aaron? Hi, Pauline.
Go ahead and let Aaron ask
Good to see you guys
first. Oh, Aaron, it looks like we're having trouble hearing you. You should be able to manage your sound preferences. There's a gear button in the bottom right of your video panel. Do you see that? Still not able to. What I could try doing is kicking you off and you can request again. Sometimes that restarts the audio. How about we try that? And we'll have Pauline. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and boot you off and then go ahead and just request again and I'll let you come back up. All right, Pauline, do you have a question?
I do. Rosamira, it's so good to see you. Sorry it's not in person. I wanted to ask, since the cotton tops are so tiny, how do you attach like radio tracking to them? Because I can imagine a collar could be a little bulky.
Hi, Pauline. It's good to see you too. Yes, we use telemetry transmitters, which we attach to the monkeys like little back. So those are very small in size and very light in weight. So since they are used to carrying babies in the and it's usually twins every year, then those little backpacks really, in 25 years of using that method, we haven't seen any. So we have continued to use that. And we only place the transmitter on the dominant male of the family because cotton tops always hard to get, just like us humans. And daddy carries the backpack. So if we find daddy with the antenna that picks up the signal of the transmitter, we find everybody on that territory. We use that for one transmitter for each family group. And then we're able to find them every day and take notes and learn from and they're doing and see babies once a year and all of that fun stuff. It's like a soap opera coming to the forest every day. So we kind of gossip around what's going on. Our biologists and our field assistants get to do that every day.
Awesome. Well, thank you. I'm going to hop off so other people can join in. Good to see you.
Yep.
And I'm going to invite Donna. In the meantime, Aaron, go ahead and ask your question to Rosamira.
All right. Is this working yet? Can you hear me yet?
Yes.
Excellent.
Yes, I can hear you.
So, Rosamira,
yeah.
We are.
Great to see you. Wish we were here in person, but this is the second best we can do. So I'd love to hear a little bit about your growth plans in San Juan and where you need the most help in those plans.
Looks giant.
Yes, as I can see Donna. Hi, thank you, Aaron. It's good to see you too. And yes, we are in a process of expanding our forest reserve, and we have very amazing opportunities to continue expanding. Now we are up to 4 properties that make up about 450 acres of expand to about 100 more. And for that, we want to create a field station there where our research team can have a base and do their work, scientific and the restoration work. But we also want to have a center for welcoming students that we work with, and hopefully in the long term or in the short term, actually, tourists that can come and visit us and see the monkeys, learn about our efforts. So we, as you know, we're in the process of designing this beautiful place we want to have in our land, and bring people over, because you know, when you see those monkeys, you fall in love with them and you will never want to support anything else but the cute little monkeys. This year we are able to get back into the field. We will continue with those plans on that first stage, and then continue to expand to make a
But how are they going to hear us?
and be able to secure forest for much more monkeys.
You could try unmirroring if we're worried about that. Where's unmirroring?
Can they hear us right now?
All right. Well, thanks. Keep up the great work.
Thank you, Aaron. Caitlin, I think Donna and Juan were connected.
Donna, can you hear us? I think you're muted now, Donna, if you'd like to go ahead and ask your question. Hi, can everyone, you can hear, okay. If you want to chat in your question, Donna, you can do it that way. And in the meantime, we had a great question from Megan Rosamira. She asked in the chat, is there any worry of danger of human tamarin COVID transfer like we see with big apes?
Yeah, thank you, Caitlin. Thank you, Megan. It's all so new for us. We are to figure that out. The fact that there is evidence of felines being, getting the virus. And then when we returned last week to see the monkeys again, what we're doing is we trained our team in keeping a lot of safety, as cover their mouths and make sure that they kind of follow all the precautions for social distancing, and also using the routines to just have of our regular, and just to make sure that the monkeys are okay and that we can continue with our research. There has been communication in between other primatologists, and everybody is very curious about the risks of. For now, we can only just do our best in taking precautions to avoid any potential risks. I'm sure there's going to be quite a few conversations with colleagues all around the world that work with primates to figure this out.
Definitely. Yeah, I think it's all a period of learning right now and adjusting, like you said earlier.
Yeah.
Gabriella, would you like to go ahead and ask a question to Rosamira?
Gabby.
Hi, how are you?
Hola, Gabby.
So good to see you.
Good, how are you? Yes.
Hi. So I would love to hear how your reforestation project is going.
Yes. So Gabby, thank you for being here. Gabby is a colleague from Brazil. We visited each other's sites, and we had collaborated and helped each other very much. And we learned a lot from the organization she works with in Brazil about reforestation before we started our forest conservation project. So things are going very well. We're still learning. There's what we're doing in the region where we work in Colombia. So there is a lot of trial error at the moment, or it has been for the last 3 years. We're learning about on the native species that we need to plant for the monkeys. We're learning about survival rates. We're learning about how to plant, and we're learning about human capacity to be able to care for a nursery. But it's been great so far, and we have grown quite a bit. And our expectations continue to grow because we have been lucky to find the support of many people that are helping us go through that learning process and see the product in much more forest for the monkeys. So still in the process. These things take time, Gabby, right?
Thanks, Gabby.
Hope to go and visit you again soon and see everything in the field.
Looking forward to that. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to bring up Jacqueline, and in the meantime, I'm going to ask the question Donna was trying to ask. She was curious about marking the monkeys in the new area that you're expanding into. I think maybe she's asking about your efforts to collar monkeys as you expand into new
San Juan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so 5 years ago, project to a new location. Now we have 2 locations, and our plans in the future are to have, actually this year, we were hoping to expand to a 3rd location. So we struggled a little in that second site to be able to put the transmitters in the monkeys, but yay, we were able to do it, Donna. We did it. We were able to capture our first group in January this year and put transmitters. And since then, we have been following that group in particular. And now activities are suspended, but when we go back, we're trying to put translators in 2 more groups. So we, by the end of the year, have 3 groups, and we can begin comparing information between our permanent groups and these new groups. And hopefully by next year, probably we will have a 3rd group, and then we can validate, compare, and see if behavior patterns, feeding patterns, reproduction patterns, climate patterns are different or the same. And that's going to be quite an interesting study for us now that we can access a lot of these areas that were completely restricted to us because of the inside war in Colombia with the guerrillas and the military. So yes, we were successful this year. We're very excited about it, and we look forward to moving on to more groups and a 3rd site. Again, probably it might not be. We had a plan for the 2nd semester of this year, but we might have to move it over to next year because of the pandemic.
Jacqueline, we just brought you up on screen. And sorry, there was just a little bit of background noise. So when you're not talking, if you don't mind just muting, but go ahead and ask your question to Rosamira.
Absolutely. Thanks. Hi, Rosamira. I know.
Hi, Jackie. How are you?
Good. How are you? I know that all of these conservation organizations that we've been talking about today really build a sense of community in the places that they're with, and the people in the community really sense a sense of these animals are a part of my culture. So my question to you is, how has the places that you work with, have they started asking about the cotton tops and how they're doing with all of this? Have you heard a lot of the community members kind of want to either be more engaged or have concern for the animal that they have built a relationship with?
Well, I think overall communities are very worried about their own communities and their survival at the moment. That what has been very dramatic in our rural communities, and specifically those where we work, is that they were relying on these income generation projects that they were participating on, being the artisans doing the plush toys or the eco mochilas, or being the farmers with their crops. But the Colombia went into lockdown more than a month ago, and everybody has to stay home. And of course, there's no sales, there's no stores, and there is a lot of pressing situation on feeding on the day-to-day basis. So I think when it comes down to you and your family, it becomes a priority. Fortunately, we haven't seen yet any impact on our monkeys. I mean, we went to see them last week and they were all there. No major concerns on that. But there is a lot of fear on, if this doesn't go away fast enough, they might have to use resources for subsistence. So our hope is to reach out and ask for help to provide humanitarian support to our artisans and our farmers, and be able to provide them with basic food packages, I guess, while the government lifts up the quarantine, which hopefully will be by mid-May, and we can all go back to our normal, whatever that is, and try to kind of bring up all these projects again. So yeah, I mean, it makes us very nervous, I guess, because these relationships build over a long time. It takes time to build these relationships with communities, and it's just so scary that something that comes rushing in like this virus, how can affect that. So it'd be a good test for us to see how can we manage, and how communities, their commitment to supporting our conservation efforts kind of continue on, even though through this pandemic. But our hope is to be able to give a hand and connect with organizations, either organizations that are providing humanitarian support, or raise it ourselves with our friends and supporters. And purchasing their products is an amazing way to help them as well through this pandemic. So I'll definitely encourage you to check out our website, and that's an amazing way to support buying eco mochilas or plush toys, and keep providing an income for these artisans. I know many of you have over the years supported our work with these beautiful handbags and the beautiful monkeys.
Awesome. Thank you, Jacqueline, for your question. It was so great. Thanks for joining us today. Okay, it looks like we have 2 more people on the video. I'm going to try bringing them up. Lindsay, Stark, and I think Gabby might have one more question. We'll see. Oh, maybe not. Okay, so we'll go ahead. Julie asked a question earlier. She wanted to know about the population of cotton tamarins. How are they doing now compared to when you first started?
Okay, so we have done 2 surveys within the distribution area of cotton tops in northern Colombia. We did the first one in 2006, and the second one in 2012. So since the difference between the numbers within 5-year period was very slight, we decided to do the next one 10 years apart. So our next survey will be in 2022, and that's when we will have true numbers to compare and see what has happened over the last 10 years. But we, in the areas where we are, we have seen the populations to be stable based on our studies. The areas where we do our research and when we do work, but we are looking forward to 2022 to go out there and do a third survey and have numbers to share and hopefully some cool and good news about the conservation of cotton tops, thanks to so many years of work and the support of many amazing people. So we'll have that info later on.
So I have one more question for you, and this is, many people who are tuning in who are familiar with Proyecto Tití may already know about this, but I know we have a lot of new people joining us today. So you mentioned, Rosamira, that one of the big threats to cotton top tamarind is the fact that people still sometimes try and have them as pets, and they're taking them from the forest to have as pets. I know one of your programs is the Amiguao program, where you use dogs in conservation to kind of mitigate that threat a little bit. So can you tell us a little bit more about that program and how it's helping cotton tops?
Thank you, Caitlin. Yes, this is a program. Students, we have education programs for elementary school and secondary school. So kids, after they take our elementary school, a few of them are that's called Amiguao. And in this elementary school program, we teach them about the differences between domestic and wild animals, and why wild stay in the forest and not be in our homes as pets. So then after that, they learn how amazing it is to have a dog, how smart they are, and how fun they can be, and not necessarily be used as a watchdog, but they can be your friend, and you can train them to do amazing tricks, and it can be fun to have that. So this program, we have been doing it for 3 years, and it's given us great results. We've had trainers of Disney's Animal Kingdom come to Colombia and help us and train our team and work with the kids. And kids get very, very amazed at how fast dogs learn all these tricks and how say hello. And the whole purpose is to discourage the desire of having a cotton top as a pet. And it works perfectly. So we continuing on because it's fun, it sends a clear message, and it prepares these kids to be a conscious and responsible citizens in the future.
That's amazing. I love it. So for any of you who aren't following Proyecto Tití on social media, you should definitely check them out, because occasionally they'll share videos and photos of these children interacting with the dogs, and it's really incredible work that they're doing. Okay, we're gonna take one more question. I know, Gabby, if maybe you can answer quickly, Rosamira, if you're able to, but Gabby did ask, what are the impacts of climate change? How is climate change impacting cotton top tamarins?
Yeah, so climate change can potentially impact very much the monkeys, because In the forest where they live, there's a dry season where no rain and a rainy season with lots of rain. When those patterns change, it can completely mess up their reproduction patterns, because the females get pregnant when there's a lot of food and when there's a lot of rain, and they give their babies within the dry season. So if we have longer dry seasons with less rain, then the trees would not fruit, and then the animals will not have enough food, and their fertility goes down, and then they don't reproduce. So it directly affects reproduction. In the studies we have developed, we have learned this. We have actually tested their hormones to understand their reproductive cycles by collecting poop and getting the hormones in that poop on the females, and understanding how it's all related. So we have learned that it's strictly related to feeding, and feeding is strictly related to rain, because when it rains, all the trees fruit. So climate change and shifting of dry and rainy seasons can have a very direct and troubling impact for the normal cycle of a life of a cotton top. So yes, it will, if so.
Awesome, thank you. I'm learning new things here. I had no idea.
Yeah.
I think that's about all the time that we had today. We're going to take a 15-minute break, and then you can join us on the main stage for the last session at 2 p.m. to hear from Robin from Spectacled Bear Conservation. And if we didn't get to your question, we'll respond to it via email. And Rosamira, I just wanted to give you one last chance to say goodbye. Any closing remarks you may have to those who are joining us today?
Just thank you all for being here today. And again, if you want to learn more through our Proyecto Tití page on WCN site, or Proyecto Tití in our social media, you can follow us. And there's all the contact information if you want to learn more about certain of our programs. So if you want to support one of our programs, we're going to focus a lot of our fundraising and helping our education programs remaining active, and helping our communities, and continue on with our forest and research as soon as we can get over this pandemic. So thank you all for being here. Thanks to WCN for putting this virtual expo together, and hopefully we'll be able to see you in person very soon. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Always great to see you, Rosamira.
Yes.
Talk to you.
Same, Caitlin. Thank you so much.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for tuning in.